I'm Will Hardy, husband, father, entrepreneur, hotelier, and filmmaker, and a man in the middle of his story. I've had wins, I've had breakdowns, I've had moments where I felt unstoppable, and moments where I didn't know if I could take one more step. And I know I'm not the only one. This podcast is a place where we tell the truth, where leaders, dreamers, husbands, wives, entrepreneurs can come clean about the real journey. Because together, we heal faster. Together, we get clearer. Together, we rise. This is an invitation to walk with me, not after it's perfect, but while it's still being written. Welcome to Interrupt. Hey guys, welcome to the Interrupt podcast where divine interruptions can become invitations. It's not about where you're at today, it's about where you can become in the future. And we're all about talking about conversations in the messy middle, dealing with high-end entrepreneurs, leaders all over the world. As you guys know, if you follow this show, you're going to get not just unbelievable content, but you're going to get the highest leaders that are in the marketplace. And so today, almost couldn't sleep last night. So excited about this guest that I'm about to introduce. Jeremie is a friend of mine. I've been sitting under his leadership. I've read his books. What an inspiration he's been to me and so many other leaders. He really is a leader to all leaders. He is a best-selling author of many books. Some of those are The Voice-Driven Leader, The Peace Index, Five Voices, The 100X Leader. He is an extremely sought-after, world-renowned speaker, life coach, consultant. He's been happily married to his wife, Kelly, for many, many years, and they have three amazing children. Without further ado, this guy really doesn't even need more of an introduction. His life speaks for itself. But Jeremie Kubicek, welcome to the Interrupt podcast, brother. Thank you for your time today, man. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing great, man. So good to be with you. Man, you're one of my favorite people. I love what you're doing. I love who you are. So it's just fun to dive in with you.
Man, it means the world. Means the world. Jeremie, listen, this podcast, and we've talked a little bit about this, it's about divine interruptions, right? Things that happen in our life that really make us kind of stop and pivot. Your leadership under Giant Worldwide, I'm thankful to say that I was a student of that. Again, read many of your books, watched many of your keynote speaking engagements. And every time I'm around you, man, you're the kind of guy that just lights the room up, brings this new level of energy. But to be honest with you, man, one of the most fascinating things that I've been able to watch from an outsider looking in, it's like there's one thing to see somebody on stage, right? And sometimes, and we all know leaders that we've seen on stage, and then we get behind the curtain with them, and you're like, that's not exactly the person that I thought it was going to be, you know? And I tell you, man, it's been nothing but a joy to get to watch the man on the stage, but also the man behind the curtain. And no one has walked out leadership with a more transparent, vulnerable lifestyle, vulnerable approach than you have. But I gotta start off with the main thing, man. Right? Like, is cool as you are, and as poised as you are, there's got to be a moment, right? A divine interruption that's come in your life that maybe has, recreated who you are, your purpose, your identity, your thought process. And I've read a little bit about this story, but man, but can I go all the way back to Mexico when you were in that car crash? And can you tell us a little bit about that perspective and what happened in that season, man?
Yeah. So for sure. So divine interruptions, it's a great thought. And, and I also want to bring it back into every day. Like, what do I do? I want to talk to you about what happened to me in Mexico. It was I was 32 years old
Okay.
at the time. My wife and I went on a vacation right before we started Giant, and what happened in that time frame is we got stuck in a hurricane, Category 3, hit Cancun directly. We got trapped. We got moved from our resort down to this hotel. We were trying to get to our hotel room, and as we were about 200 feet away, a drunk driver came through and joyriding in a hurricane, as you do, and just crushed the side of our little Fiat, a little sardine can that we were riding in.
Man.
And it pushed me into the driver's seat. It squashed me. It basically, my sternum popped out. Nine ribs were broken. I had severed intestines. I was paralyzed from the waist down. And yeah, it was chaos. It was at night. And it was at that moment when I realized I wasn't going to make it. And so about, I don't know how many minutes in, about 15, 20 minutes into this ordeal, I'm start thinking and I start contemplating and I start asking God, all right, God, was I your man? Was I a good husband? And was I a good dad? I can't believe I'm not going to make it. I'm going to die in Mexico. That was what I was thinking. And what happened was, I didn't think at the time was starting Giant. I just worked for a private equity group. I had 3.coms. All these kind of ambitious things in my 20s that I wasn't thinking about. The only thing I could think of was I your man? Was I a good husband? Was I a good dad?
Wow.
And so I was thinking that. I look up at my wife, Kelly, and I'm like, I'm not going to make it. And oh, by the way, I got the privilege of seeing my life flash before my eyes, exactly like they tell you it does.
Come
It was
on.
like a keynote, a PowerPoint presentation. It was just picture after picture after picture of me with God at certain ages, with Kelly, me with my kids. And so I was at peace. And I look up at Kelly and I just shook my head. I couldn't talk. She didn't know what I was thinking. And I just shook my head like, I'm not going to make it. That's all I could. And she goes, I know. And then she looked over me and she said, but I want you to know you were God's man. You were a great husband and you were a great dad.
Come on.
And I'm thinking, did you just say that?
Wow.
And how did you know? I mean, I just couldn't believe it. And
Got
I was at
goosebumps over here,
total
bro.
peace. And I breathed my last breath and I was gone. And I literally started the near-death experience floating above the car. And so that floating above just kind of led me to this total peace. And I could see the car, I could see Kelly, I could see me, I could see our friends that were with us trying to get help. And it was at that moment, and this is a divine interaction. I'm floating. Dawn and my friend Carmel, who was with us, she goes, "No, in the name of Jesus, give him breath." And she put her hand on my arm. And as soon as she did, I came right back into the car, right back into the pain. I'm like, "Thanks, Carmel. I was good."
I was feeling great there for 2 seconds.
I literally came right back in. And for a good old Baptist boy, I didn't have context miracles that would happen. And I literally had 5-6 miracles that took place over the course of a week. And that was the first one of them that happened. So divine interaction and encounter led to me not dying that day and me, living, and changed the whole trajectory of my life from that moment.
Unbelievable, Jeremy. Wow, what a story, man. Obviously, the divine hand was on you, my friend. It was not your time. Thank God for that. But what a powerful thought that here you're in this ultimate crisis, right? Where, over in a split second, your life flashes before you. I think it's just absolutely fascinating that that's the 3 questions that came to your mind. And I think it's so relative to this podcast, right? The pillars that we talk about, which is, obviously the entrepreneur lifestyle, which we know is not for the faint of heart. But we talk about marriage, the marriage pillar, we talk about parenting, and then we really talk about mind, body, soul, right? And so to think that in that moment that was the revelation that you got, like that's the only thing that ultimately mattered to you. I think that's incredible, man. Let me ask you this. So let's go back before that. Okay. And obviously that was an incredible interruption, right? And that's as we talk to all these men and women on this podcast, and I share even my personal interruptions. Some aren't quite as dramatic as, "Hey, I'm about to lose my life," right? But some are, right? And there are all these kind of moments in our life that make us stop, reflect, and really pause to go, "What's most important here? What are we really doing all this for, and who are we doing it for?" Right? So can you take us back a little bit to the dot-com days and, working in high levels of, private equity? Tell me about what that looked like for you in that season.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, if I go all the way back, it was 1993. I moved to Moscow, Russia,
Okay.
and what I had always had this ambition to literally, I wanted to change the world, and I was very missional, but I was also very ambitious. And I was just around a lot of opportunity. And I mean, when I say opportunity, I'm a bootstrapper. So it was me creating the opportunities or being in the right positions. But I started with a team. We started 3 companies in Moscow, economic school, accounting training company, and marketing business. And we started to try to scale that and grow that. We weren't making any money, but it was just the like, who says we can't? And I had this like, who says we can't culture in me. And I think it's like, I'm an Oklahoma boy, a farm boy. And in Oklahoma, like the joke is we're like Texas, but with humility. And
I like that.
so it's this, but we have this same entrepreneurial spirit of like, who says we can't? So
Yeah.
I took that with me to Russia, but then over time, I just kept like, I wanted more and more and more. And I'm like, what am I trying to prove? What am I afraid of losing and what am I trying to hide? And so the law of self-preservation started to come in, and I started realizing I was trying to prove that I belonged or prove that I could make it. So it just led me to like being very aggressive and ambitious. And so I joined this company and it got bought, and then I worked with a private equity group, and then I worked with them to start some .com businesses and all these things. And I had this thing that was over me. People would tell me this all the time. It's like, man, whatever you touch turns to gold. And I took that as like a personal motto, or it was really not true. And it was but it was a prideful thing. It was just full of pride.
Yeah.
So and we squashed it down to a little I to stand for giant, that standed for humility, not pride. And so it stands for David, not Goliath, David, not Saul. So it's the idea of like, how do you do big things in a humble way?
Man.
And I think that's the tension point for a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, no, that's incredible, man. I mean, what you're talking about is so revelational, and it's just something that you just don't see a lot in the business world, and that's why I know I was so personally attracted to you and Steve and the group, and what you guys were building, because for the first time ever, it kind of felt like, I knew that I wanted to be a part of something that didn't lead with ego, right? And but yet that's all I'd ever known, right? That you go back to that self-preservation of, the Will Hardy that had to perform to, be accepted or be approved or to be seen. And what you guys did in that season is just, it's astronomical. So okay, so we're before the wreck at this point, right? You're saying there was a leadership style where probably a little bit more ego was pushing forward, a little bit more of the self-preservation. What do you feel like? What do you feel like those insecurities and limitations really were that you had to face? Like, if you could like mark them on a list, what were those things that you had to personally deal with to go, if I'm going to become the highest version of myself, I've got to get rid of this right here?
I had a mentor who walked me through. His name is Kent Humphreys, and he was walking me through the idea of kingdom or empire. And it's like, are you trying to build your own empire, or are you trying to basically be a son in the kingdom of God? And I was like, both. to be honest,
Can you choose? Can you choose both?
Yeah, and the truth is that I was dealing with this desire to be seen and noticed and be someone.
Yeah.
And I'm an only child. I'm very secure with my parents. I had everything I needed. But it was just this desire to try to, change the world, or this pressure or comparison, all those things, right? It's ultimately insecurity. And that insecurity is, not knowing who your identity is. And so Jamie Winship, you probably are familiar with Jamie Winship. Just had dinner with him this week. I'm name dropping, but
it's a great guy. Yeah.
He's a great guy. He's been in Oklahoma City a lot. And so, anyway, so we've spent some time together, and but I've gone through the whole identity work there, and just really was impacted by it. But the concept of just knowing who you are, and like, well, the car accident allowed me to actually die and reset and restart. And I had a chance to go, who am I really? It took years. It's taken me years. It wasn't an instant, but just to walk through the dying process to go, what's my purpose again? What's my vision again? Who am I again? All those things. So I can become secure and confident and humble. And secure, confident, humility actually goes together, because the most humble person is very secure in who they are.
Yeah.
The most humble person is really confident in who they are. And so it's usually that when you see arrogance, that's where pride is, and that's where insecurity lives too.
That's right.
And I've been all those things. And so therefore, I think it's just been a journey of, I know I'm a son. I know I know that Jesus took it all for me. So I'm not a sinner. I don't have a sin nature, I should say.
Yeah.
I am a son who has a sin habit. So because of that changed the trajectory to be, I'm very secure in who God is and what he's done for me. And I'm confident through him.
Yeah.
And therefore I can be humble and just go, what am I designed to do? But at the same time, and you know this well, I'm a very, very ambitious person.
Yep.
But the Lord has been redeeming my ambition. And the redeemed ambition is really understanding what ambition looks like in the kingdom of God versus with the intent of building my own empire. And that's taken me years, and I'm still right in the middle of that.
Wow, it's so powerful, man. So in a world that, we're taught, especially I think men in the leadership space, right? High-end entrepreneurs, and like I've established companies, I've built companies up, I've sold companies, just like you, Jeremy, and you've done this on a worldwide level. You've seen some of the biggest leaders out there, right? You've ate at the table with a lot of these leaders, and in a world where we're taught as that vulnerability is a weakness, right? That we have to project this level of confidence if we're going to be successful. What does it take? What does it truly take for a man to embrace vulnerability? And why do you think we as men, especially entrepreneurs, have such a hard time doing that and operating in that?
Okay, so I'm going to answer it maybe different than you might expect. So for me, Will, it's truly understanding who I am and where I am. Okay, so what I mean is I'm a son of the Most High God. So therefore, where am I in the kingdom? Well, I'm a son. I am a co-heir with Jesus.
Yeah.
Therefore, where is he right now? All right, he's in heaven preparing a place for us, and yet I am in the kingdom of God. Therefore, I'm positioned at the table with the King as a co-heir with Jesus, which is crazy confidence. Meaning, there's nothing I can't do. There's nothing. I mean, like, where is he going? What is he doing? What do I need to? So what I've been trying to do is, I've been actually not thinking about me when I'm with people. I know who I am. So what I'm asking for constantly is, so Will, if you and I were across the table, I'm going to ask on your behalf, where's Will at today? And what does he need today? Where's the healing? What needs to get taken out? What needs to get called up? Which one? What area? So now I'm listening on your behalf because I'm dead to myself. Now, it doesn't always work that way. There's days I'm not that way, but most of the time I'm thinking about you and where does God want to move you and how does he want to use me?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to be is basically a conduit. So, you've been doing construction and you're an awesome hotel. You've got conduits, right? And a conduit, it's not about the conduit. A conduit allows power to flow through it for the benefit of the other person. So it's like, to be a conduit means I know what I'm designed to do, and I'm allowing power to go through me. I can't be rusty. Rusty conduits don't work.
Yeah.
So, but it's also not about the conduit. It's just about the flow through me. So my point is that there's a dying to self, and then there's a living. Like then there's a stepping into your identity to know what your superpowers are. So if you understand who you are, you understand what your superpowers are, then you know what your calling is, then you can be free to free people. And that's the journey that I've been on and working with the Lord in the midst of, I'm starting my 32nd company this coming year.
Wow.
And to go, I'm starting businesses. That's what I do. I build things, I sell them, I create them, but I'm partnering with the Holy Spirit. I'm using business as a platform for influence.
Yeah.
And letting the world fund me to influence it. So that's a little bit of how I think.
That's incredible, man. I mean, listen, what you just said is not a light conversation, right? I mean, the revelation behind that, the understanding. I can imagine there's many men that are listening to this, and women too, just going, God, if it was only that easy, right? Like, I mean, like where my mind goes with that is like, you've been able to tap into something which I would consider extremely unique, extremely rare. And mind you, like, I mean, we're talking a lot of spiritual language today, but the reality is like, bro, you're all over the world dealing with, Fortune 500 companies, the highest leaders that don't believe in faith, right? Don't have religion in their background, or a personal relationship with Jesus or a higher being, right? And some for just HR reasons you can't really even talk about that much. How do you connect with that leader? What does that look like?
Everybody has chaos.
Yeah.
And so what I do is I use power to reset the peace in people so that they can deal with the chaos. And so most people don't want chaos and they want to get rid of it. So what I do is I love just to go right at the pain. So where are you at? What needs healing? What needs to get taken out? But you have to build influence. And so in the case you were so kind in your introduction to me, but I had enough character and chemistry with you and competency and credibility that you trusted me to have influence in your life. And then you let your walls down. And so if you want to be someone that people want to follow or be trustworthy, then you have to be one, you have to have enough character and enough credibility to people to listen to you, but you're really focused on them, not on you. And I think that's the part is like, I'm trying to fight for the highest possible good in the other person.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to call them up to be that person. But here's the secret, and there is a secret. You can't give what you don't possess.
Yeah.
And so
that's right.
So my mentor was a guy named Doug, and Doug would say things like, he is old. He was 83 at the time. He's like, Jeremie, do fountains move? And I'm like, do fountains move? No. He's like, what do fountains do? I'm like, oh, fountains, they spray water. People go to them because of ambiance and beauty and, the sound, all of it. Like they want to be refreshing. And he's like, yeah, but what if the water's bad? And I'm like, people will avoid the fountain. What if there's no water at all? People walk around the fountain. He's like, yeah, Jeremie, be a good fountain. And that's it. That's simple. Be a good fountain.
Wow.
Meaning that if you are overflowing, people will come to you. You don't have to chase them.
Yeah.
If you're overflowing, which means my job is just to help reset people so that peace flows.
Yeah.
And then when you overflow, then you're a person of peace and people want to be around you. But that means that, and this was his phrase, he would tell me, Jeremie, evangelize yourself every day. And what he meant by that is like, you have to call yourself up every day. And so you have to remind yourself who you are. So I do a morning routine every single morning. And in the shower, I'll remind myself who I am. And I literally call myself into the power and authority that I've been given to help other people. But if I am tired, if I'm just burned out, if I'm worn down, if I don't have it, if I'm not at peace, I won't give peace. If I don't have power, I won't give power.
Absolutely.
You can't give what you don't possess. So that is the secret. the secret is daily evangelizing yourself, daily calling yourself up into the power and authority you have.
Mm. Gosh, that's so good, man. I mean, that is why I fell in love with you right there, the first time I met you. But you're unique in this regard, man. I mean, again, there's entrepreneurs out here, and one of the main reasons for this podcast, right, is that a lot of times it looks clean on paper, right? But there's something behind the curtain that lacks that peace, lacks that integrity, lacks that ability to really put others before yourself, and I've always been fascinated how, again, just what you said, going up to that person and going, what needs to be called up, what needs to be called out, what needs to be repositioned. It's a simple statement, but there's so much power behind that because you're present, right? And I don't know about you, but you've seen this many, many times where you walk into, the cocktail lounge for the event, or you step into the leadership meeting and the event, and it just looks like a bunch of people peacocking everywhere you go, right?
Oh,
Everybody's
yeah.
pushing out their authority, their brands, their this or that, pat me on the back, see me, look what I've done. And and like you said, at the end of the day, not only is that not sustainable, right? But that's a mask, right? We all know that, and I've worn that mask before. I know what that feels like. But just for you to be able to be present and vulnerable to open up a conversation with another man or another woman in that regard, it probably just, not only does it catch them off guard, but they're probably just like, is this, can I be like, is this guy really care what I feel? Does he really care what I'm thinking right now? And I can only imagine that the powerful impact that gets for especially other leaders that don't have that soft place to land. So another thing you've done beautiful over the years, and I've watched this and I've read this in your books as well, is it's kind of similar to the way Jesus taught, right? It's that he put these wisdom, these nuggets of truth into what we call a parable, right? And I think it's amazing how you've taken language and applied that to your teaching, your communication style, your culture of honor that you've built with your team and other teams, and it just fascinates me. Where did that? How did that come, man? Where did that revelation come from for you?
Well, I mean, I had been running, I owned John Maxwell's companies. I built the LeaderCast brand. I built Catalyst conferences, and it was all about the stage. It was all about the speaker. It was all about how do I get to be. It was like celebrity, and it was full. It was just pride, and they were just good people. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't mean that.
sure,
John Maxwell's a good guy.
sure.
What I'm saying though is that the pride in itself is like, and so I struggled with it. It was a really hard thing. In fact, I wrote a book that I never published. It was called "Humble for President,"
Mm,
and it was all this idea about this. Can a president of the United States be humble? And this whole journey about humility and as I was about to publish it, it was like God's like, no, that was for you. And I wrote my own and it was like me dealing with humility in
wow.
a really interesting way. So, but I say all that to go. I got to a point where I saw the highest and best of empire of man,
Mm,
and like you said, I was in the green room. I mean, for years, I was around any celebrity in the leadership space. I was around them or with them or dinner with them, or they were on stage with me, or they were at our events, or all these things. And I just got to see it behind the scenes, and it was so okay. Or these pastors, or these, which lots of them have fallen since then.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so I saw it. I saw the behind the scenes of a lot of these things. So I got to the point, Will, I'm like, hang on. How did Jesus change the world again? And I realized that we were living in a Greek system of stages, like Socrates, bring people and espouse knowledge and wisdom in large spaces for efficiency's sake. And then I started looking at Jesus again. So again, my mentor Doug, he made me not. Only read Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Acts for 4.5 years only,
Yeah.
and I learned how Jesus changed the world. And once I understood that, everything else made sense.
Mm.
And I read nothing else but that for 4.5 years. And so it changed me. So my point is this is like, how did you change the world? hang on, why didn't you go preach sermons? Why weren't you in large crowds? I'm like, only a few times.
Yeah.
Everything was around like a couple. Let's take a couple of people and then let's multiply and then let's multiply and then let's multiply. And so the way that the world changed was Jesus and parables.
Yeah.
And so, and that's how they learned back then. Well, in our world, we learned through visuals. So we created visual tools. So I just took Jesus' words and scripture and put them into visual form, and then started using those on first personal, know yourself to lead yourself, then relational, and then professional. And I found that most leadership jargon is professional.
Mm-hmm.
It might dabble in relational, but it rarely deals with personal.
Totally.
And so you got to change the inside, but then change your relationships, then change your team.
Mm.
And that's where we just go deeper than most people would, but we do it in a way that's very palatable and it's easy enough for a 13-year-old to get it.
Man, it's incredible. And I got it. So, and I'm about the mind of a 13-year-old, so it worked perfectly. I appreciate that. My ADD mind picked up on it perfectly. So I was doing a podcast the other day with another author, and man, big guy in the healthcare space. Built a $33 billion empire in the healthcare space, and he was going through really tragic things in his life. Right, his daughter was battling big time addiction. It's a whole long story. It's too much to share, but the long and short of it is I said, man, I can't even imagine what that would be like to, be with your daughter in the weekends at the hospital and or recovery and or a lack thereof, wondering where she is, people breaking in your house. And I said, and then you'd have to put on your CEO cap on Monday morning to walk into the office. And I said, looking back on that season of your life, what would you have changed? And he said, I would have been more vulnerable to the people around me. He said, I carried this heaviness on my armor every day, and I just did not allow other people. He said, I'm an introvert by nature, right? But he said, but I just didn't allow other people to kind of come into the personal side of things. Number one, because I thought it would be unprofessional. I didn't want to put my junk on them. But number two, he just didn't understand that vulnerable piece, And as a leader, I've been able to watch you, man, and I really, I'm inspired by this on so many levels, but I've seen you on that keynote stage platform, right? Where you've been working all day long, you've been speaking all day, and it's like you're not the guy that escapes to the back door, right? You're the guy that comes into the crowd. You're the guy that continues the conversation. You're the guy that sits at the table, is that why you feel like at the end of the day you've been able to build such a beautiful culture of honor, not just in Giant, but in all your businesses?
It's a great thought. I think for me, it goes back to like, what's the game?
Yeah.
And when you know the game, so for me, what I mean by that, well, what's really real, and then what is just the game of man?
Mm.
And the game of man is how many and how much. So how many beds are there? How big is the Trails Hotel? How many cars do you have? How many houses do you have?
Yep.
How much money have you made? How many people go to your church? How many, it's like how many and how much.
Yeah.
And I think, and I say this, when I died, I didn't die, but when I was right there, when I almost died, my near-death experience, coming back into that, it's like, no, wait, that was that game. I was working with private equity, and we bought 17 companies, and we had 3 this and 10, and so then people validate you. And I even said it with 32 companies. And why do I even say that? It's just that I'm a startup guy. I like to start things. But the point is that I don't value that anymore. So when I'm with people, I've just been around too much. And I've been a confidant, to governors, head football coaches, athletic directors, large CEOs. I've been board chairman. I was just talking yesterday to a large female board chair of a national company, and walking through, and it's all the same.
Yeah.
It's all the same drama. It's personal, relational, before professional. And I guess my point is that what does God value?
Yeah.
All summer this summer. So this is how I'm able to be vulnerable. Like right here, I'm going to be very vulnerable. There is a top 100 list for everybody. Top 100 doctor, top 100 lawyer, top 100 business people, 30 under 30, 40 under 40,
Yeah.
all these
Oh,
things.
yeah.
In the kingdom of heaven, so you can't earn salvation, but we will earn rewards. And there's rewards in heaven. There's crowns in heaven. And guess who's going to be the top in heaven? It's the widow with the mite. Remember the story that she
Absolutely.
gave her like last? She's going to be like one of the top.
Yep.
And so what the like don't store up treasures on earth, but actively store up treasures in heaven.
Mm.
So it's almost like what I'm trying to do. The game, if I that might be too trite, is Lord, what are you doing? How do I partner and play? Because your game is way bigger than man's game. And I know at the end of man's game, what, 15 years, 20 years? I mean, right now I'm working, I've been honored. I'm working on a project. I can't say the details, but I can tell you the gist of it, that will influence some of the next generation of some of the wealthiest people in the world.
Fantastic.
But I look at them and go, they've got pain. It's just
Mhm.
it's hard. They have issues, and they're harder issues than most people have to.
Yeah.
But it's like, but I'm valuing learning. What does the treasure in heaven look like?
Mm.
What do I, Lord? Where are you leading me today? And who needs healing? Who needs cast out? Who needs to be raised up today?
Mm.
And for me, like that's the most life giving. So when
That's
you start playing into that game, it's like way, way more beneficial than, oh, I closed another business. So what? So I can buy a house somewhere, or I can have
yeah.
another car,
Yeah.
which is all hassle.
Absolutely.
So
Well, man,
anyway,
it's so good. I love your story about the Sherpa, right? And you interviewed a Sherpa before, and you kind of went through this whole thing. Dive into that for just a second, because I know that there are so many men in the world right now, which is another reason I wanted to open up this podcast to really talk about what's going on internally, right? What is it for a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul through the process? And we're not having
yeah,
enough of these raw, open, vulnerable, messy conversations, right? Where we all put on, our pants the same way, one leg at a time, right? And we all have these temptations, but there's so many men that get to the top of that mountain, or what they think that top of the mountain looks like, and they're as lonely as they've ever been, right? They might look back to see that they lost their family along the way. They lost that marriage. Their children don't want to be in the same room with them because they don't feel safe. Talk about that story for a second, because I think it's really powerful for leaders to understand that.
yeah. So it's really the idea is the best leaders in the world are people who perform while helping people perform. That's
Mm,
what leadership is. So
yeah,
the best metaphor is the Sherpa on Mount Everest.
yeah,
That these men and women, but men climbers on Mount Everest, they can climb at high levels because they have a predisposition. They can handle the altitude with their heart and their lungs and their brain. So whereas most people can't, so they can climb higher and better. So the idea is you perform while helping people perform.
mm,
The best leaders in the world are not people who can climb the highest. The best leaders are the ones who can take people to the highest levels. So it's not how many times you've climbed Everest, but how many times you've helped people get there, right? So the opportunity for you, if you're leading your family or leading your people, is shifting to a Sherpa mindset.
mm,
And I did that with my kids. When my kids turned 10, I had a 12, 10, and 8-year-old, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm an accidental dad right now. I'm
yeah,
just making the money, and I'm hoping my wife takes care of the kids. And that was kind of our agreement
yeah,
informally, and which most men think of. And I was like, no, 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 I'm in it to win it. And I switched my flip to intentional dad, not accidental dad. And I started realizing I'm going to be a Sherpa to my kids.
mm,
And but that means high support and high challenge, and then I'm going to call them up. So I started learning their personality through the voices, the 5 voices. And I
Yeah.
started teaching them their voice and knew my wife's voice. And then I started getting engaged with who they were, who their identity was, and how do I help them with their superpowers, and how do I help them with their calling. And they had to start a company at the age of 15. And so much so, Will, that my son took all of this and created he has a side company called 6 Summers,
Mm-hmm.
and 6summers.com. And he takes parents, he trains them for $100. He trains them on how to basically train their kids between the ages of 13 and 18.
Wow.
And it's just a system using the tools that I built in him.
Yeah.
And so it's just a fun way to multiply. But the mindset, like I said, know the game. The understanding is like, wait, I'm a part of a bigger kingdom than my own empire.
Yeah.
How do I step into that, and how do I play from that power, and how do I be so full of peace and power that when I meet someone, I'm fighting for their highest possible good. I'm thinking like a Sherpa. What do they need to get to the next level?
Sure.
And that's ultimately just it's a way more fun way to live and more fun way to do business.
Well, it's so much more fulfilling, right? I mean, because it's like all of a sudden you take your eyes off yourself and you put them on the other, right? And I've experienced that same thing when I get in the hustle and bustle of life, and I can find I just it doesn't take a long time for me to get tired, weary, distracted. Maybe I want to check out with toxic habits, whatever it might be, and then I have to sit back and go, oh my God, you know why I'm so unfulfilled right now is because it's Will's world. Right? It's all about will.
Yeah.
It's all about will. It's not about the other person in front of me. It's not about the bigger situation. Which is incredible that you found that. Now, it was funny you should say that because we went to a wedding in Texas a couple weeks ago, and I just told my wife, I said, watch this, right? We knew really like 2 people in the wedding. Probably shouldn't even have been there, but they invited us out. I said, please, it would mean a lot if you came. It's one of those kind of friendships you meet one time, and you just go, I feel like I should go. And of course, it was a beautiful cultural wedding because it was an Indian wedding and a Hispanic wedding, and they were merging together. So imagine it was a lot of fun, a lot of activity. But if I had $1 for every man that I walked up to and just said, "Hello, my name is Will," within the first 10 seconds, they size you up.
What do you do?
What do you do? Right? What do you do? What do you do? And I thought, my God, it's so exhausting, right? And so I want to take back to that moment when you made a transition from kind of this conservative lifestyle to this very vulnerable, open, transparent, serving way to do leadership, right? Because that takes a lot of nerve, man. I mean, there's courage to that. In the world that we live in, this doggy dog world where it's, you got to get yours, you got to get out, you got to fight for what you believe in, you got to get to the top of the ladder before the other guy beats you there. I don't have a lot of examples in my life that I've seen or stories that I've seen where men like you who've been great leaders, who've been humble, basically decided I'm playing from a different game. All right. I'm playing for a different level of chips and treasures, if you will, like you said. But at the same time, it's not about me. So I'm believing that as I go lower, right, that I'm actually going to go higher. Right. It's the kingdom, right? It's what Jesus said all the time. It's like the more you give away, the more you have. Right. So I mean, it had to take faith for you to see that, but was it always, did you see an immediate transition of kind of grace and faith and blessing, or was it kind of like you trudged for a while?
No, it's happening more and more and more. So picture a lever, kingdom up here, empire down here.
Yeah.
I took one of my books called the Peace Index, and the Peace Index is an assessment around purpose, people, personal health, provision, and place. Well, this summer, even I'm constantly learning and growing. I'm constantly working my way towards kingdom thinking versus empire thinking. So I took all 5 of those circles, and I'm like, am I kingdom or empire with provision, with money? I'm like, oh my gosh, I am empire, money, with provision. My way I was thinking, am I kingdom or empire with purpose? Wow, I'm probably halfway. So my point is, it's a constant journey, but the difference is like, I'm not caring. I don't care as much, and you'll hear this from a lot of people. Like, I don't care what people think anymore. Well, I'm caring less and less because I'm learning to be a conduit. So therefore, if I'm a conduit, I'm like, it's super fun. I'm actually in a power position, which sounds funny to say. When I say power position, I mean, I'm empowered to partner with the Holy Spirit to allow the power to flow through me for the benefit of you or whoever I'm on the other side of.
Yeah.
So if I am then bringing healing or casting out or raising up something of life to them, then I'm a part of that transformation. Well, guess who wins? I do,
Yeah.
because I'm a part of the transformation that's happening through me. I'm currently got this guy who's very influential in the sales world, and he's going through a deep transformation right now in his entire life. And he's like, the scales are falling off his eyes. He's seeing it like the way it really is, not the way the world made it. It's like the Matrix, red pill, blue pill. And he's got and he's like, oh my gosh. And I've been there as his Sherpa, helping him see Jesus for who he really is, not a religion, but true. And because of that, he's coming alive. Dude, I am benefiting. It's way more fun than I made another sale today, or our business grew by X% or whatever. Like, it's the most fun. And so that transformation is like what God designed to keep us motivated to want to do it more and more and more. The issue that we have in our culture, especially America, is we have it done for us. We're like, hey, Will, you need to come to church and hear this pastor talk. He'll say he's certified and he'll say it better than me.
Yeah.
And
he's got a direct line to God, right? That's you hear that a lot, right?
Instead of like, no, dude, I have a direct line to God, and I'm in it. I'm a conduit, and I'm a part of it. So it's like I don't know if that's vulnerability. I don't know if what I'm saying is vulnerability. What I'm saying is it's like that's just who I'm becoming.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm a son.
That's right.
It means that I'm not afraid of sin anymore.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't own me.
I love it.
And because I'm free from that, then I'm free to free other people.
Yeah.
So what I really want is I want you and everyone listening to find as much freedom in this life as you possibly can and much peace as you possibly can. And the only way I've found that you can do that is through Jesus. I've not found it any other way. You can't do it with money. More money won't make it. And other things, therefore I'm like, well, figure that out. And then life is way more fun.
I love that about you, man. You said something earlier that I think all men can relate to, right? And I've shared a little bit of this in my website and my story and my introduction video. It's that I've been in seasons where I've just been hustling so much, right? Just trying to, again, didn't have the right perspective, right? Didn't, was off balance in my thinking and my lifestyle, and just so much wanting to get to the top of the mountain, right? To prove myself, right? To get that pat on the back, to say, I finally made it. I'm enough now, And of course, you get to the top of the mountain, you're never enough. And then you pick another mountain, and it's a habitual cycle. But that moment of, I've got 4 children. I know you've got 3, and my oldest son's a junior in college. I've got 2 seniors and a sophomore this year. And man, they're like that, right? They grow up, and I'm thankful that I've been able to finally now kind of stop my life to the point where, like what you said, I'm going back and becoming more intentional about things that I know I missed as a father. But there's a lot of fathers out there that have missed that, and I've watched you as a faithful husband to Kelly for all these years, and what an amazing family you all have created. Beautiful children that love you, that want to be in your presence, that you're doing life with every day, doing business with, which is beautiful. Man, was there ever a moment? And again, I know what you said. There was like you all of a sudden you had that wake up call that goes, what am I doing? I'm there physically, but I'm not there emotionally, maybe, right? Or I'm there physically, but I'm not there spiritually, When did you feel like that struggle kind of shifted? Was it that one moment you said when you were just like, hold on, I'm going back to the basics here?
I think it's to give grace for everyone listening.
Yeah.
I think it's like, it could be every day.
Yeah.
It's there are moments, it should be every single day. So every day at 5:30, I do an examine, and I'm like, what was I grateful for in the day? 2, where was I off? Where was I not at peace and why?
Mm.
And then 3, am I ready for tomorrow?
Yeah.
So the whole idea is search me, O God, know my heart. Try me and see if there's any anxious thought in me. Lead me in the everlasting way. It's the prayer of David.
Yeah.
And it's like that. It's a responsive person. But the thing is this: if we can see in our relationship that God is not after us, He's not after us to like smite us or harm us or hurt us. If you've met Him and already are with Him through Jesus,
Yeah.
you're set, you're good, you're reset. So there's a piece that goes in there. Now, here's what happens: is that over time, though, the cares of the world, the delight
Mm.
and riches, the desire for other things will enter in and choke the truth and prove you unfruitful.
Mm.
And a lot of us literally are allowing the chasing of the empire of man to make us unfruitful internally. That's what needs to get shaken up a little bit and
Mm.
encouraged.
Yeah.
But it's not to judge.
Yep.
It's just to wake you up. Hey, it's all right. It happens to all of us. Happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
But we have to slow down to speed up. We have to slow down to go, okay, so God, reset me today.
Mm.
We're good. Like there's new mercies every morning. So what happened, Will, is this, dude. I have so adopted and understood the grace. I'm understanding the grace of the cross and the grace of Jesus, that I'm finally giving myself grace, because I know that there's no more sin. Sin is a habit.
Right.
I'm not condemned. There's no sin, there's no death. I am free.
Yeah.
Therefore, I have grace with myself to go, oh man, yeah, you ate a little too much. Yeah, oh, you shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are habits. Those are tendencies of mine.
Yeah.
But they don't own me anymore. Therefore, that freedom is just so much more fun. And I think a lot of you listening probably need to understand and transfer the freedom that's been given to you from Jesus. You need to give it to yourself and learn how to give yourself grace while also holding yourself accountable. Grace and truth play together. Support and challenge play together.
Mm-hmm.
And when you live in that way, your business, your partnerships, your marriage, your kids, they'll feel the flow, because you'll be in a flow. You'll be in a rhythm of peace.
Peace.
And peace is power, and power leads to peace.
Yeah.
And so it's like learning how to be at peace is probably a lot of you need to do some work on that. And that work is really just knowing and understanding grace.
Brother, you are preaching to me today, man. This is
I'm preaching a lot more than I normally do.
Listen, no, this is what I love about you, brother. It's you're constantly pouring out, you're constantly giving. Thank you for being. I've got something in my head now that I've been able to see. It's so rare in leadership, and I've been able to watch you do this, man. I've seen the fruits of your labor. I've seen the ripple effects that it's made, not just for myself. I mean, the Voices book revolutionized my wife and I in our marriage, right? I mean, we immediately took it to our children, right? And so I would highly encourage anybody out there that's watching to, go to jeremiekubicek.com. Obviously he's a sought after speaker, a business consultant, but you can get all of his books, or at least they'll be available on Amazon. But they're all unbelievable, and these are, I know, all little tidbits of all the knowledge that you have that have gone into these works. So it's really incredible, man.
I'm gonna my last plug here is
Yeah.
I just launched the latest book in the last couple months, called The Voice Driven Leader.
Yep.
And it's one of our favorites. Steve and I wrote this one together, but it's one of our favorite ones. It's so good. It's basically, if you want to know how to develop people, it is a field guide for how do I take another person to the next level.
Absolutely.
And it's really practical. So The Voice Driven Leader.
I'm going to go get it as soon as we get off here, brother. I can't wait to read it, man. Jeremie, I could do this all day, man, but I know our time has come to the end. Thank you so much for being a part of the Interrupt podcast. I love you, brother. Keep doing the great work you're doing. Keep leading well. Again, please, if you're listening, follow Jeremie, follow his leadership, and get all of his content. Trust me, you'll be blessed. Brother, wish you nothing but the best, and I will see you soon.
Mate.
All right?
Cheers.
See you, buddy. Thanks, man.
Thank you for spending time with me today. Remember, it's not about pretending the story is finished. It's about having the courage to keep writing it, even in the middle. If this podcast has encouraged you or inspired you in any ways, please follow us at enterupwithwill.com and across all social media platforms. And please like, subscribe, and share for more. Until next time, keep showing up, keep rising, and keep choosing to enter up.